Please let me know whether the slides are visible and am I audible? Anyone can say?
Yes, sir, sir. You are audible,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
And slides are
Okay.
working, sir.
Slide is also visible. See, last class we have seen in lecture 1 and 2 the fundamentals of project management. What is project management? What is a project? What is a product? Some fundamental concepts we have discussed. I think the slides already are there. The MTech first year students, I request to go through the slides. That I have taken from a book where the reference I have given at the end, Software Project Management by Rajiv Mall, Bob Hughes, and Mike Cottrell. So it will better if you can purchase a book, and the slides I will share time to time. So there I have discussed some of the important concepts like feasibility study. So today we will start with that important concept. Also, I have taught there something the concept of business case. So the feasibility study is also known as business case. So today we will start with some more important contents on business case. Okay. Today we'll discuss mainly the business case for a project, the project portfolio management, how to evaluate projects, cash flow forecasting, and cost benefit analysis. Then we'll discuss the categories of different costs and the different benefits. Okay. I have already told you that feasibility study is also known as business case. What is feasibility study? I have already discussed in the earlier classes. Please have a look into this. Feasibility study means basically we have to determine whether the project that we are going to undertake to develop, it will be feasible, it will be beneficial for the company or for the client or not. So feasibility study, it is also called as a business case. While discussing feasibility study, the main focus is to determine whether the proposed project, it would be feasible to develop the software or not. And that feasible in terms of three concepts: whether it will be financial feasible or not, whether it will be technical feasible or not, and whether it will be operationally feasible or not. Three kinds of feasibility we have discussed earlier: financial feasibility, technical feasibility, and operational feasibility. Please have, and also a special slide I have uploaded in lecture 3. Please have a look into that different types of feasibilities and how to carry out feasibility study. There also I have told. Please have a look into that. This feasibility study or the business case, it provides a justification for starting up the project, because when we are proposing a project, whether that project in long run it will be beneficial for us or not. So this business case or the project feasibility study, it will provide a justification for starting the project, whether it will start the project or not. That this business case or the feasibility study will give us some hints. It will assist us in taking that decision. The business case or the feasibility study, it should show that the benefits of the project, the proposed project, it will exceed the cost of development, the cost of implementation, and the cost of operational production. Okay. What do you mean by financial feasible? That means the cost that you will spend in developing project, it must be much less than the benefit. Or in other words, I can say that the benefits that you will get after developing the proposed project, it should outweigh the cost that you will spend. That is the cost of development, cost of implementation, cost of operational production. Okay. So the business case or the what we can say this feasibility study, it should show that the benefits that you will get on developing the proposed project, it must exceed, it must outweigh the cost of development, all the cost. For example, cost of development, cost of implementation, cost of production, etc. So while preparing the business case, we have to also take into account the different business risks while developing projects. Which risks may appear, which risks may be introduced, that also you have to take into account while preparing the business case or the feasibility study. For example, you have initially hired 100 people, and always computer science people, they want to migrate. After a few days, some of the employees, they will get some better organization, they will leave. But you have undertaken the project. what you will do? Immediately you cannot arrange some extra people. So that is a risk. And similarly, suppose you have thought of that, you will develop the project by taking 5G, but 5G suddenly it is not coming into the market. It is yet again some time, so there will be delay, another risk. So similarly, whenever you are developing any business case or feasibility study, please take into account various risks that might occur. So we'll discuss what are the possible risks. Also towards the end, we'll take 2-3 classes on risk management. Okay. So this already I have told you. There are 3 types of feasibility studies. There are 3 types of feasibilities. One is technical feasibility, where you will decide that whether the technique or the technical aspects or the particular techniques or tools those are required to develop the project, they are available or not. Financial feasibility, I have already told you that after developing the project, after implementing the project, the benefit must outweigh all the costs. Operational feasibility says that after developing the project, it should get sufficient support from the end users. End users should not object it, and the end users should not obstruct it. Then we say that the project is operational feasible. Else it might be technical feasible and financial feasible. But if the end users do not support, they will obstruct. Then we say that it is not operational feasible. Example I had already given you earlier, that when for the initially computers came into various companies, various organizations, the end users objected because they are afraid of that their job will go. So they have obstructed the implementation of these computer systems in various organizations. So in that case, we are saying the project is operational infeasible. These are the types of feasibility study. More detail are given in that feasibility slide. Please read yourself. Now we'll go to discuss what are the contents of a business case or the feasibility study. These are the important contents. These are self-explanatory. Please have a look yourself. You have to, in that feasibility study report or the business case, first you have to write down the introduction or the background of developing the project. Briefly, you have to discuss about the proposed project. Then what is the market? Where the product will go? You have to discuss about the market. Then various aspects of organizational and operational infrastructure you have to mention. You have to mention what could be the possible benefits. Towards the end, you will see what are the different types of benefits. Similarly, a little bit or some outline about implementation plan that you have to discuss. You have to also write down the different costs that will be involved in developing project in the business case that you have to write. Today we'll discuss the different possible types of costs. Then we have to write the financial case, I will say. You have to also highlight what would be the possible risks. At last, you have to develop or write down the plan for management of the project or the project management plan that you also have to write. So these are some of the important contents of a business case or a feasibility study. Those are easy. I have just I will go just write or explain very briefly. In introduction, you have to write down, you have to describe a problem that needs to be solved or an opportunity to be exploited. So what is the problem? You have to give what is the problem that needs to be solved, that you have to give a brief description. In proposed project, you have to give a brief outline of the project scope, because everything you cannot solve. What is the scope you must have to define. Accordingly, you have to develop the software. Okay, a brief outline of the project scope. For example, when you are developing suppose a project for the student information system. So here, whether automatically the message will be sent to the parents, whether this is there in the scope or not. If a student performs very poor, then you are taking that the parents will be informed. So whether that they will be informed through email or automatic email or through letter or through mobile SMS automatically, you have to clearly define the scope. Otherwise, if you are sending through speed post, then that is not within the scope. So please briefly outline what is the scope of the project. Then the market, the project could be to develop a new product. Okay, so what is the market you have to say? If you are, that means two kinds of things might be there. You might develop a completely new product, or a product is there, you are trying to enhancing it, you are trying to refining it. Suppose a product it is now operating manually, you want to make it fully operational, fully fully computer oriented, fully automated, or it is semi-automated, you want to make it fully automated, or it is fully automated but you want to add more features. That means you are trying to improve an existing project. Other one is the project might be a completely new product. For example, you are developing a complete new computer game. Then if you are developing a new computer game, if it is the existing, okay, the people they will use, but if it is a completely new game or new product, then you have to seriously think about what is the likely demand for the product in the market. What is the possibility that people will like it, they will use it, or simply they will throw it, your product cannot be sold in the market, then you are nowhere. So you have to seriously think, you have to seriously evaluate, you have to seriously assess what is the likely demand, the possible demand for the new product that you are going to develop in the market. That has to be assessed. Okay, this is regarding the market you have to describe. The next content in the business case is the organizational and operational infrastructure. Here you have to address questions and write down the maybe the solutions to those questions, like how the organization would need to change if we are going to introduce this project, how the organization would need to change. This would be important where a new information system application was being introduced. If you are running it manually, now a completely new management information system you want to introduce, then obviously you have to think, you have to find out, you have to determine how the organization would need to change. This is very much important for implementation of new information systems. Then benefits, very easy. Normally this should be expressed in financial terms, isn't it? How much final benefit you will get? Obviously you should express it in financial terms. At the end, it is up to the client to assess this, as they are going to pay for the project, isn't it? The clients will finally pay for the project, so they must evaluate if this project will be implemented, how much benefit you will get. So at the end, it is up to the client to assess these benefits in terms of financial terms, because they are going to pay for the development of the project. Outline implementation plan. Here you have to write down how the project is going to be implemented, what infrastructure is required, how it will be implemented, what other things are required for implementation of the plan. This should consider the disruption to an organization that a project might cause. If a project now we are running manually, everything is correct, but if there is a computer oriented thing, what disruption an organization, or what kind of disruption the new project may cause to the organization. Say it is manually, we can easily handle the customers, and while making it computer oriented, after the software fails or the server fails, at that time how I will carry out the business, how I can handle the disruption. Those things have to be discussed in this point. Then you have to also write down the cost, that is the implementation plan will supply information to establish this. So in order to implement the proposed project, in order to implement the proposed plan, how much cost you have to incur. We'll discuss what are the different types of costs. Then you have to perform a financial analysis, because you have estimated what is the benefit that you will get. Similarly, you have to say you have already estimated what are the cost will involve. Then you have to carry out an analysis. You have to explicitly establish that the proposed benefits must outweigh the costs. The proposed benefits must be greater than the costs. So perform some analysis, perform some financial analysis. So financial analysis, it combines the different costs and the different benefits that you are getting, the data related to this, to establish the value of the project. Then you will determine whether you will accept the project, whether you will go for developing the project, or you will just discard the project. You should not develop the project. So these are the contents of a business case. Then next one was, I have saying, next content, there are 10 contents I have told. Next one is risks. There are two types of risks. One is project risks, another is business risks. Normally project risks, they are related to the threats to the successful project execution. Some possible threats which may hinder the successful execution of the project. We call them project risks. And business risks means these are related to the factors which are threatening the benefits of the delivered project. These much benefits you should get, but due to this implementing this project, some of the benefits you may not get. So business risks, they are related to the factors threatening the benefits of the delivered project. Towards the end, we will take 2-3 classes on risk management. Right now, we'll stop here. And in business case, our main focus is handling the business risks, not the project risks. Project risks we'll see later on. So in business case, the main focus is on the business risks. The next content is the management plan. As I have already told you, you have to develop the detailed plan for smooth management of the organization. For the smooth management of the project, you have to make a detailed plan. So these are all these contents that you must put while writing a business case or a feasibility study report. Okay, this is something about the business case. Now we'll go to the next item. The next item is project portfolio management. Project portfolio management. This project portfolio management, it provides an overview of all the projects that an organization is undertaking. Please see, an organization may take or may handle several types of projects, like student projects for NIT, student projects for IIT, student projects for student development project for private universities like this. Also, like admission related projects. Then we can say library management projects, stores management projects, and so much things. So an organization may handle several projects at a time. So this project portfolio management, it gives an overview of all the projects that an organization it is undertaking. This also prioritizes the allocation of resources to projects, because the resources are fixed, say 100 engineers, 10 computers, and like that. So which projects should be assigned with how many engineers? Which projects should be assigned with how many computers? Which projects should be assigned with how many printers, like this? So this project portfolio management, it prioritizes the allocation of resources to the different projects. This also decides which new projects should be accepted and which existing ones should be dropped. Okay, so by performing this project portfolio management, the managers can decide which new projects they should undertake, and if some of the existing ones they are giving you only loss, then which existing projects they should be dropped. So that can be also determined by developing the project portfolio management. Okay. Now let's see what are the important concerns for project portfolio management. The important concerns include evaluating the different proposals for projects. Many new proposals will come. You cannot accept all of them. You have to evaluate the project proposals for projects, for the upcoming projects. Here you can use the feasibility study. All the 3 feasibility study you can use: technical feasibility, financial feasibility, and operational feasibility. Based on that, you evaluate which project proposal you will undertake and which one you will drop. Then another important concern of project portfolio management is assessing the risks involved with the projects. What could be the possible risks that might be or that might occur in future while you will develop the project, and if these risks will occur, how to handle them. You have to do the risk management. Another important concern is deciding how to share resources between projects. I have already told you, because the resources are fixed. You are having certain number of projects. Which project will get how many engineers, how many computers, how many printers, etc. Decide how to share the resources between the projects. That can be done on the basis of project portfolio management. Then taking account of dependencies between the projects. If one project is dependent on the other project, if this is not completed, I cannot go to the next project. Please see, in our NIT system, student admission first you have to do, then you can go for this examination. So the examination project is dependent on the student admission project and student registration project. So you have to find out what are the different dependencies among the projects. Take the account while developing new projects. Take into account what dependencies might appear between the projects. Remove duplication between projects. If 2 different projects, same thing is appears, same module is appearing in between these 2, you should try to remove it. Okay, so like in your registering the system, you are entering all the details. While also in examination module, again the student details need to be entered. No, you enter just one. During student registration, enter only once, so that those data can be faced during what student examination system. Don't make it duplicate data. So remove duplication between projects. That is also one of the function of project portfolio management. Another important concern is ensuring that necessary developments have not been inadvertently missed. So you can also ensure that some of the necessary developments, they have not been inadvertently missed. Some of the developments you have not skipped, some of the important concerns you have not skipped, you have not missed, that you have to also ensure. So another important concern of project portfolio management is ensuring that necessary developments, they have not been inadvertently missed. Now let's see what are the important elements of project portfolio management. There are three important elements. One is project portfolio definition, another is project portfolio management, another is project portfolio optimization. Let's see what you are doing in project portfolio definition. So the objective of project portfolio definition is to create a central record, a central database of all the projects those are running within an organization. It must decide whether you should have all the projects in the repository or say only ICT projects. Because the first one is you have to create a central repository, central record. Then you have to decide whether all the projects you will put in the repository or only ICT related projects you will put in the repository. That is another important objective of project portfolio definition. Please note that the difference between the new product development projects and renewal projects. You have to note, because new product development means everything is new. Nothing is there in your database. You have to collect all the data and put in the repository. But in renewal projects, the details are there. You want to change something, you want to revise something, you want to renew something. So you have to note down the difference between the new product development projects and the renewal projects in the project portfolio definition. Next is project portfolio management. As its name suggests, here the actual costing and the performance of projects can be recorded and assessed. So how much cost will be involved, how much benefit you will get, what will be performance. So the actual costing, benefits and performance of the projects, they can be recorded and they can be assessed by using project portfolio management. Then project portfolio optimization, here the information those are gathered above, I mean during the project definition and the project management, the information gathered during the above steps can be used to achieve better balance of projects. Those information you can use for achieving better balance of the projects. For example, some projects might be risky, but they are potentially very valuable, balanced by less risky but less valuable projects. See, if you say that no, I will not take risky projects, you know there is a fundamental principle. Wherever there is no risky, no profit or very less profit. But wherever high risky, there is high profit. So you have to make balance. If you will be afraid of from the beginning and you will not take less risky high risky projects, then obviously your profit will be very less. So that's why you have to make balance. So you may take some risky projects, but because they are potentially very valuable, and you should also take some number of some number of projects which are less risky and less valuable, so that the overall there will be balance, the profit that can be balanced. Even if you lose something in the risky project, you may gain that can be compensated from this non-risky projects. So you have to do proper balance between the risky and potentially valuable projects versus less risky and less valuable projects. You have to make some proper balance, and this balance can be done by analyzing the information which you have got during the project portfolio definition and project portfolio management. Okay. These are, let's see the pros and cons of the project portfolio management. These are easy. Please read yourself. Like the advantage is that the project portfolio management, it allows some small ad hoc tasks which can be done outside the portfolio. For example, how to perform quick fixes to the system, that can be done using PPM. So project portfolio management, it allows some small and ad hoc tasks which can be done outside the portfolio. But there are several disadvantages, like while the full-time staff, they are allocated to a particular project, they may be effectively be part-time to other projects because they still have to still have routine work to do. Please see what I am saying here. Suppose there are 10 projects, 10 staffs and 8 staffs have been allocated to a project, but effectively they become what? Part-time, because along with these particular projects, a student project, they still have to do some routine work of the organization, so they become what? Part-time. The official project portfolio may not accurately reflect the organizational activity if some projects are excluded. Okay, when initially you have made plan for all the 10 projects that you are going to undertake, but if some projects are excluded, some projects are dropped, or some the clients they did not give you final the projects to develop to you, then the official project portfolio, it may not accurately reflect the organizational activity if some projects are excluded. So if due to some problems some of the projects are excluded, then this official project portfolio that may not give you the accurate organizational activity. It may not reflect the accurate organizational activity. Okay, these are some of the pros and cons, because you have made the plan according to keeping in view all the 10 projects, and at the last moment 2 are dropped. So whatever the official project portfolio you have developed, that may not accurately reflect the organizational activity due to the fact that some of the projects are excluded. So these are some of the pros and cons of the project portfolio management. Details are there in your book. Please have a look into this. Now let's come to the actual thing, that how to evaluate the individual projects. Suppose there are 3 projects have been proposed. Which project will be the best one? How to evaluate the individual projects? There are different ways to evaluate the individual projects. First one, you will see technical assessment. So this process consists of evaluating whether the required functionality can be achieved with current affordable technologies. Okay, so a project has been proposed by a manager. You have to see whether the project can be developed by the existing technology or not. Okay, so this consists of evaluating whether the required functionality can be achieved with the current affordable technology or not. For example, one project manager had proposed to develop a project using 6G, and we know at best right now we are having 5G technology. We don't have 6G technology. 6G technology may come, may not come tomorrow. Based on that, we can evaluate whether that project, that developing the project will be affordable or not. It will be what feasible or not. Then cost of technology adopted must be taken into account in the financial assessment. Okay, so that means what is the cost of, even if 6G comes, how much it will cost, and whether my organization, if it is a small organization, can it afford it or not. I have to perform a cost benefit analysis. How much cost I have to pay for 6G and how much benefit I am going to get after implementing 6G. If the benefit is much higher than the cost, then I should go for that, otherwise I should not go for the project. So cost of the technology adopted, it must have to be taken into account in the financial assessment. Then only I will say that whether I should go for the project or not, or which project will be more beneficial than the other projects. This is known as technical assessment. There is another method or maybe a related method for evaluation of the individual projects. This is known as financial assessment. This we have seen technical assessment, whether the technique exists or not, whether the using that technique or using that technology is affordable or not. Next is financial assessment. This also we call as cost benefit analysis. So the financial assessment, it relates to an individual project. What we have to do? We have to, or you need to do the following things. First, identify all the possible costs for developing that project, which could be some development cost, for example, that salary you have to pay to the staffs. Setup cost, for example, the hardware you will purchase, recruitment of employees, providing training to the staff, the cost associated with them. Then some cost may be due to the operation of the project, operational cost, for example, cost for operating the system after the installation. After you will install once, but then it will ask for some operating maintenance cost. So cost for operating the system after installation. We'll see what are the other possible costs. So identify first all the costs. I am discussing cost benefit analysis. First step, identify all the costs, then identify all the benefits, then you check whether your benefit is outweighing the cost or not. If the benefit outweighs the cost, then you say that yes, this project will be financially feasible, you should undertake that project. Okay, so first identify all the cost. These are some of the examples of different types of cost. Then identify how much benefit you will get, the value of the benefits. I will discuss what are the types of benefits later on. Then you check whether whether the benefits are greater than the cost or not. The benefit outweigh the cost or not. If the benefits outweigh the cost, then you say that yes, this project it will be financially viable. It is financially feasible. You should undertake this project. Okay. These are the two different techniques we have seen for evaluating the individual projects. So another method is there to evaluate the project or to evaluate the individual projects, that is known as cash flow forecasting. So just like cost benefit analysis, it is also an important technique to produce. It is also important to produce a cash flow forecast. That means how the cash will flow, which will indicate when expenditure and income will take place, when expenditure will start, when income will start. That you can see by looking at the cash flow. You know, while you are developing a project, it will take some cost, it will incur some cost. You have to spend some money. We need to spend money such as, see, initially I'm saying, before you are getting some benefit, first we have to spend some money such as you have to purchase the equipment, we have to recruit the staff, we have to make payment to staffs during the project development. These expenses like purchasing equipment, making payments to staffs, these expenses will not wait until income is received from the project. See, you may get some benefit, you may get some income from the project later on after 1 year, but for that 1 year you cannot stop these costs like purchasing equipment, making payment to staff, etc. These expenses cannot wait until the income is received from the project. So when the system or the product is released, then only it will generate income that gradually pays up the cost. So initially you have to spend money, but when the system or product it will be released, it will come into the market, then only it will generate some income which will gradually pay off the cost. Also, the timing of cost and income for a product system needs to be estimated. The timings, when you will spend the cost, when you will incur the cost, and when you will get the income for a particular product of the system. Okay, so also for the timing for that also they need to be estimated. Fine. So also the timing of the cost and income for a particular product of system, they need to be estimated. What timing for the cost, always the timing for the benefit or the timing for the income, they need to be estimated. See how can represent cash flow? It can be represented like this graph. As I have already told you, initially you cannot get any income. Income is zero, and initially you have to make only expenditure like purchasing equipments, making staffs to pay, making payments to staffs, office expenses, service charges, etc. So the cost will initially why I am showing in negative direction, because cost is negative. The expenditure will go on increasing. Then time will come, you will start little bit of income, and then this income what you will get, that will balance this expenditure gradually, that will pay up the expenditure, and the income it will be increasing. It will increase like this, and then a time will come when the product will be obsolete. Gradually the income will fall down, and then it will ask so many maintenance to you, so that what will happen? It will be again fall down, isn't it? Again it will fall down, again you will lose, again it will incur loss. So this is known as the cash flow. This is a typical product life cycle cash flow, how the cash will flow. Okay, so we need to know that whether we can fund these expenses either from the own resources or by borrowing. Which funds? Purchasing the equipments, paying salary to the staffs, setting up the office. So these expenses, whether I am having sufficient money to bear this thing, or I have to go for loan, I have to take loan from bank. Okay, so that's why you have to make a forecast. Okay, if initially I will take 1 lakh loan, then say within say another, I can recover this 1 lakh loan, and besides I will get some 2 lakhs profit. So that's why you have to make a forecasting. This is known as the product life cycle cash flow, how the cash may flow. You have to make a forecast regarding the cost that you will incur and how much benefit you may get. Accordingly, you may take a decision whether you will develop the project or not. Okay. Then I will go quickly about this cost benefit analysis. I have just given hints of cost benefit analysis. Now we'll go in details of the cost benefit analysis. So just anybody else can say what is the next class at 2:15? Anybody else can say? Anybody is having class, or can I take for 10 minutes?
Yes, sir. We are having class.
2:15 there is a class, huh?
Sir, we
Yes,
have
sir, yes.
lab.
So
Yes, there is a lab.
which class? Which class?
Sir,
Sir,
ASC lab,
sir,
sir. Software engineering lab.
ASC lab, sir.
Sir. Acha. So MTech first year?
Yes, sir.
Software engineering means MTech first year
Sir,
class?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Acha, I think Yudhishthira Mahapatra will take. Has he told that he will take the class today?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Because this theory class he can take, but lab class I am doubtful.
It's
Yes,
a lab,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. He created a team and he also told that he will taking the class.
Today lab class you will take, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, then I think today then we will stop here, and this cost benefit analysis we will take up in the next class. So next class tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Okay, so this again I have taken from this 3 authors book by software project management by Bob Hughes, Cottrell and Rajiv Mal book. Please see that book. So this, please, you see, we are going a little bit slow. Actually, today, whatever I prepared, only covered only 50%. Okay, so this we will discuss in the next class then. Thank you very much. Let's take the attendance now.